I'm not that talented. I can't do that. So there must be someone else here. Get online, redshiftradio.co.uk. Check out the webcams. And in fact, Elvis and Elvis's brother Spencer, who was perhaps a lesser known member of the Presley family, would you both like to give a wave to the multiple webcams that we've got in here? There we are, folks.
Hello. Hello.
They are officially here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Now, chaps, you're telling us about some fundraising that's happening this weekend, and we've talked about it a little bit. Let me just click the details back now. We've had another email sent through from Nigel at FabFunctions, because we talked a little bit earlier about the when and the where the activity is going to be, but also he's mentioned that there is a Facebook and Twitter as well for FabFunctions. So if you want to find a bit more information, get onto facebook.com and search for FabFunctions and you will find information there. If you're on Twitter, then it's simply at FabPlanners, FAB Planners on Twitter, and there's lots more information there. So, guys, Children in Need, you know, it's a charity that's been around for at least as long as I have, which isn't all that long, and probably a lot more as well. What was it about Children in Need that, you know, you sort of felt, was there some sort of reason that you wanted to support Children in Need, or are you the sort of people that do lots of different things for lots of different charities?
Well, you can imagine performing a show of this nature. You see, Elvis has such a massive fan base, all age groups, from, you know, grandchildren through to grandparents. I was told, I was explaining this, basically you get a lot, all age groups. You could never, you know, just people who grew up with Elvis in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. I grew up with Elvis's music in the 70s, the 80s, and, you know, to the present date. So, but at shows I see a lot of youngsters, you know, their grandparents were obviously involved, you know, as Elvis fans, and they've grown up loving the music. So, going back to charities, your question about the charities, Gav, no specific charity. I don't, you know, hang my belt on one specific charity, but we do tend to do a regular show for, like, say, the air ambulance. But we know it's, you know, it's a charity where you know where the money's going to go. And for instance, the one we did for the Alzheimer's funding, that is funded by the actual, those things are kept going by these kind of fundraising events. It's the same with Children in Need. Now, it's obviously the Crewe branch. It's one of the main events this weekend in Crewe, and it's a lovely venue, and I know it's a well-known venue, it's a well-respected venue, and the support's been good. And, you know, thanks to people like yourself and, you know, companies like this, you know, for promoting these things, even with things like what we're doing now, it raises the awareness of the charity.
Absolutely,
and done with a bit of fun as well. Elvis music, you know, we can always have a good time with some Elvis songs. And charity-wise, no, we're not tied to one specific charity, but we are asked to do a great deal of charities, and if we can fit them in, that's great. But like I say, we are open to any, so if anybody's got any ideas for fundraising, it's like Nigel approached us from FabFunctions and said, can we be involved with their specific, you know, there's a lot of, like, the Dance Academy is from Crewe as well, a lot of young people, and all kinds of other things, all locally based companies, so it's really good to be involved.
So really, it's your passion and your dedication to Elvis and, you know, Elvis's music as well.
Yeah.
You want to give that back. You want to put on a performance for people because you enjoy all the music and all the lifestyle.
Yeah.
You have a lot of fun doing it. You want to share that fun with people, and if you can raise a bit of money at the same time,
exactly. Yeah.
then it's a win-win. And
it is very much in keeping in tradition of the way Elvis ran his business, his companies. He did a lot of fundraising. The majority would be anonymous. But a lot of those stadium shows he did in the 70s, for instance, I mean, well, way back into the 50s, the 60s, you know, not so much the 60s as he was doing his movies, which we'll talk about a little later, but in the 70s, a lot of those big concerts were attached to some form of fundraising. For instance, Aloha from Hawaii, the biggest concert, you know, of its type in 73, that was actually for cancer research.
Really?
And that was, nobody knows that now, unless you watch the videos, but it's actually, that was a fundraiser.
Right.
And it raised millions back in 73, even though the publicity was massive.
Yeah.
And the show was spectacular. It was the first satellite show. I mean, now, this could be going out on satellite, you know. It's something that's done every day, like from Live Aid up until, you know, the Brits or whatever.
Yeah.
But in those days, it was spectacular, and you've only got to watch interviews with Elvis and his manager or his father talking about that show, and he was really nervous about how big it was and that it was going out to Japan, to Russia, to Paris.
Wow.
The thought of it, but that was actually a fundraiser.
So even the king himself suffered a bit of pre-stage nerves, and even probably a few nerves when he was up there as well, doing his stuff. I mean, he never really showed it, did he?
He took a lot of risks. He broke a lot of ground and paved the way for a lot of what's the norm in show business now. But he was the first, you know, as a rock star. And I think anybody who does this kind of work that I'm doing, find out how hard Elvis actually worked as a performer, as a businessman, as a fundraiser. All of these things take up a lot of energy, time, effort, finance. It's it's difficult, but it's very rewarding.
Yes, I was going to say it must be hugely satisfying.
It is.
You know, to you to know that you're raising all this money and you're entertaining people at the same time.
Yeah.
You obviously know quite a lot of history and a lot of facts about Elvis, and you might not know the answer to this question. I'll ask you anyway. It's nothing tricky. But I was just wondering, did Elvis, did he genuinely care about charities, and that's why he did these charitable events, or do you think it was some sort of clever, strategic business move? Do you think there was some sort of a commercial reason behind it, or do you think he was just genuinely interested in raising money for charity?
I think Elvis, personally, I mean, no one would ever really know what went on behind the scenes with Elvis Presley Enterprises, or still don't to this day. We only know what we see on the surface of these things. I think Elvis definitely would have been very passionate about the charities involved. Even though he wouldn't have had a lot of time, he was focusing on the music a lot. And that side of things. He had people taking care of the business side of things. Sometimes it was favourable, obviously, but he very much, I think, he was very passionate about the music and the fundraising, but I think a lot of the organising may have been out of his hands. I don't know. Some people, I've heard many theories. I tend to concentrate on Elvis as a performer, an entertainer, a humanitarian, and again, his fundraising. Okay, we all know Elvis liked his cars, his suits, jumbo jets, houses, all of that kind of thing. But don't we all? It's. I think, answering your question, I can't really say for definite, but I personally believe he would have felt very strongly about a lot of the causes. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, well, that'll do. I'm satisfied with that answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right then, shall we have another tune?
Certainly. Do you want a fast song or a slow song?
Oh, goodness me. Shall we go a bit high tempo? Shall we?
Really?
Yeah, come on, let's do it.
Let's get it. Thank you very much.
That is fantastic. Elvis, we're going to let you get your breath back. I'm going to talk to your brother for a couple of seconds, if I can. Spencer.
Hi there.
Spencer Dale. Has he always been like this?
Yes.
Good. I meant that in a positive way, obviously.
Yes, been a big fan of Elvis for a long time.
Yeah. So growing up and that, you know,
Yeah,
you'd
good fun.
listen to Elvis records together.
Yeah, Elvis records.